Hello, everybody. This is Dale Haight for Dr. Dale on deck, and today we're going to just spend a few moments in time, a little bit longer than what I've been doing lately, just to make you aware of this particular program that we're going to do. And we invite you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that you can be aware of any future things that we're doing. But I've been speaking here with you about self-adjusted here, all ready for the morning, trying to stay out of the sun makes me have polka dots, but so I'm gonna lean up here a little bit. Got my Tim Hortons in hand, and we're doing good. I've got a very, very hectic day today. I will tell you right now, I'm prep you so that if you want to stay tuned to the broadcast, you'll know what we're covering. But we're going to be talking today about how to overcome anxiety and fear that can grip us and actually paralyze us. And there are some great answers that we can find that will bring peace to our lives. You know, I'm always reminded that God said, Jesus said, "Peace I give to you, not like the world gives, but I give you peace." And so I've got a couple of quick stories to tell you today. First of all, I have a very hectic day. I've got this morning a funeral service that I'll be doing here in Warren, and then from there this afternoon I'm going to do a gathering at the State Hospital here in Warren with my friend Paul Schwanke, and I both teach at the Conservatory of Music here in Warren, and we get the opportunity to spend some of today, some of this afternoon with male patients for their block party, and we're doing the music for that. So this is going to be a great day. Really enjoying that. We've been pulling together a lot of songs from way back when, and several of you on my wife Melissa's program have requested that I do some particular songs, some certain songs on her videos, and so now we have a whole list of songs that we've prepped for this day that Paul and I are going to be doing, and now those are available to me, so I can actually do some of those on Melissa's program. So very excited about that. It's going to be a wild day, a great day. We are about to lose our electricity here in our area for a couple of hours while they work on some lines. We have a hot, muggy day coming with some potential for rain and storms later on. But it's still beautiful in the Allegheny National Forest. We love being here. It's a gorgeous place. Both Melissa and I grew up here and have raised our families here, and we our family here, and just really enjoy this atmosphere. We have great neighbors, quiet neighborhood, and that's very good. So, well, enough of that, I guess, the introductory things. But do want to share with you today a little bit about this thing that I'm hearing a lot about, and perhaps you are too. And some of this is getting stirred up by people that I guess it's important for people to warn us of things that are happening in the world. Our country's going through a financial struggle at this point in time, recession. That's the right word. Inflation, all those things, recession, inflation, unemployment rates are staying pretty steady. There are all kinds of things that are happening in the political realm of things, this kind of thing. And that's happening all over the world. It's not just here in our backyard, but it is significant that we are going through some of those things. When you go to the grocery store and an item that you paid $2 for a few months ago and you're now paying close to $4 for it, that's pretty alarming because your income didn't go up double. When you pull into the gas station, you're paying way more for gasoline, although has eased off a little bit right now in our country. It's still, a bit of a sticker shock, I guess they call it, when you see what the price of things is. And you can start allowing all of these things to overwhelm you. I'll share a little of my story with you. After spending several years in helps kind of work, I worked with the court system for a number of years, and then I worked as a full-time lead pastor for quite a few years, and then I went into retail and marketing and so forth, And I did that for about 13 years roughly. And then last December, right after we had closed on our house and all of that, we had I was invited to no longer be a part of the work that I had done as a regional manager, as a general manager, a very successful and profitable operation and so forth, but switch in companies, change in ownership, and some changes that are inevitable. And at first, it was hitting me really, really in a hard way, and all of these anxieties and fears started to come. How are we going to pay for the house? How are we going to pay for our bills and groceries and all these kinds of things? At the same time, and many of you may not know how old I am, and it doesn't matter to me if you know, I'm 66 years old, and I had the opportunity to sign up for my pension benefits, the full amount, and I'd worked for 50 years. I started paying taxes when I was 16 years old, and so I had worked all of that time, and that contributed to being able to get a substantial amount of Social Security pension and medical care and all that kind of thing. So for me, Melissa continues her work. She's got more years to work at her place of employment at a bank, and where she works in online banking, and then Sensi she does, and she's known by most people on YouTube as the Sensi person. So she really is into that, and she's really doing well with it. But she's got this great spirit. Her answer to all of this is that God knows what He's doing. He's going to carry us through. He's going to take us where we need to go. And you burn up your savings right away while you're waiting for income to start, and you go through all of that. But here's what happened. Here's the miracle of things that takes place. Okay, so didn't have my full-time, good-paying job any longer, but had money that was going to start coming in a couple of months after that. Had some savings, got the house, and the house, including the mortgage payment and the taxes and the insurance on the house, the monthly payment on all of that was actually less than what we paid for the same house in rent. So it's like, okay, there was one answer. God made a way for the amount of the money that we have to pay to be geared down. That was good. So other things started to trickle in. I had the opportunity to do some, part-time work, 25 or so hours a week with the local tax office. Did that during the tax season. Not really my cup of tea, but I enjoyed the people I worked with, and I enjoyed the clients, and it was fun. But thank God tax season comes to an end, and on April the 18th, and that ended my time there. Had a few interviews for part-time work or temporary work, that kind of thing. Didn't pan out, and that was okay. Again, at my age, even though they can't say they're not hiring you because of your age, I can't blame them. They're taking a look at somebody that may be well qualified to do something. But God's hand was in it, because God's calling is on my life, and the Bible says that the gifts and callings of God are without repentance. In other words, God doesn't take away what He has given. He has given things with an intention and with a destiny. He knows what the future holds. And that's what I have come to realize. The other thing God grew me up in, not just in this season, but over the past 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or so, is that He has a desire to walk with us and be a friend with us, and that He is not, I don't believe that God wants to be put in a religious box where this is the only way that things can happen. But God says, I'm so much bigger than what you allow me to be in your life. So what He's been teaching me is change the way that you think, become dependent on the Lord again, and let God work out all of the situations in your life that need to be worked out, and He'll take care of everything else. He just will. That's what He does. And so very, very blessed by that. And then I had the opportunity and was invited to apply for a work as a therapist, as a drug and alcohol therapist, and that is my background when I worked with the court system years ago. Worked with addictions-based kinds of things, and a lot of different work that I did at that point in time, but all of it was meant toward counseling. And of course, being a pastor for many years. I was ordained in 1980, so I've been in ministry for over 40 years, and so you deal with a lot of those kinds of things. However, we got right up to the edge. I had the agency sent me a schedule, a start date, all of those kinds of things. And then when they started reviewing things, they started to realize that they couldn't get a funding stream approved for my position because of my master's degree, my doctoral degree are from a theological institution that is not government agency accredited, but is accredited in other ways. It's accredited by it's a religious exempt organization. So I've got 8 years of education tied up in those 2 degrees that were really, really, a tough row. But it was the purpose of me getting the education wasn't to have degrees; it was to gain knowledge. And so I did that. Worked hard at becoming more of a Bible scholar than what I had been before, and that's really where I'm at. And that's okay. The funding stream couldn't give them the money for me to do that, so there was another what appeared to be a dead end. But at the same time that happened, the music conservatory, I have this great, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you before, but when I was in high school, I wanted to be a music teacher in the worst way. In fact, I had applied at a college and been accepted to go into a music education program, and then made some changes in that, and I went to broadcasting school first, and then as time would go on, I never did get to attend that college to major in music, but I had been a musician from the time I was 11 years old on. I was classically trained. I had learned, I played trumpet, I played a little bit of piano, and mostly I played guitar, and that led itself to a lot of opportunities down the road. So I don't mean to go into such great detail about my testimony, but I do want to share with you just a little bit of that background and story so that you understand how this works out. Did I need to work for 25 hours a week as a therapist? Not really, because I have the opportunity on an almost daily basis of being involved with pastoral counseling and working there. And quite frankly, when therapists come to a place where it's a spiritual problem, they're required to consult with clergy, to consult with ministers about what to do next. So I'm really not in a bad position there, and I'm grateful for my university. I'm grateful for my seminary training and all of that. It's just wonderful. And now, again, God will always steer us in a direction that He wants us to go. He'll always make that opportunity happen to us. And as it were, more opportunities became open at the Conservatory of Music here in Warren, and so I have more students than I've ever had. That's growing. The school is growing. The opportunities are there to really teach music, which I always dreamed of doing back when I was a kid. I wanted to be a music teacher, and I lived my life and career path and calling and all of these things, and all arrived at this point where I get to do now what God designed me to do, and be in ministry, and also open myself up to everything that God is doing in the world. Again, God doesn't like to be put in a box. We don't say to God, here's how it's going to work. And in this journey over the past 20 years or so, it has been a great journey because it has opened my heart up to a lot more people, and it's opened me up to loving a lot more people and really studying and understanding where they come from in their own particular vein, or their own travels, or their own path, if you will, to finding God. And I've learned to become not just tolerant, but understanding and studious at understanding how people come to the places that they come to, and then always be there as God has called us to be. The Bible says that they'll know that you're followers of mine by the love you have for each other. So that becomes a priority in our lives when we really try to plug in and find God. Well, that isn't our subject today, but I did want to share with you that during this season, fear attempted to put itself upon me, to make you afraid that you're not going to be able to pay your bills, you're not going to be able to buy your groceries, you're not going to be able to do all the things that you've been able to do now over the past many years, and you're not going to be able to have those opportunities and experiences any longer. And then he started to show me one piece at a time that he will take care of us. He loves us. We are his servants. We are going to continue to follow after him. And we're going to press even further into him. And we're going to open our arms up in a broader sense to many other expressions that people have of loving God and coming to know him. And I'm so excited about that opportunity, but I do know that there's a lot more in store for us. We are pressing into the next thing, and we are walking with people who hurt, who are in sorrow and grieving and mourning, but we are also walking with people who are finding new joy and new ways of overcoming the enemy of their lives. So let me say this. In these tumultuous times, in these difficult places that we walk in right now, the question is, how are we going to overcome the anxiety that comes upon us when we start thinking way too much about the negative possibilities? And so some of this is our doing. It's more than just saying, okay, just let go and let God. That's a great little catchphrase. It's cliches are okay for a lot of things, but the depth of them is really what we end up walking out in our lives. And that, to me, that becomes one of the more important things for me personally, and I hope that that helps you too. There's a bigger answer than just throwing a cliche at a problem. Okay, and yes, I'm going to probably throw a bunch of cliches at you as well, but I want to tell you that I speak to you from the experiences that I have had in my life and that I continue to have in my life. And I just want to say this to you right now. We make a choice about how much fear will grip us. I make a decision. Am I going to allow fear to grip me? If I have a health situation, then I make a decision. Do I allow that to grip me, or do I trust that God has my best in mind, that what he's looking for in my life is something very positive, very good, very healthy? Or do I allow fear to grip my heart and grip my mind? And that's really where most of this battle takes place. It's really a battle in our brain. It's in our mind, and it causes us to think about this and think about that. Great story the other morning. Got up. I normally run over or oftentimes I run over to Tim Hortons and I get a cup of coffee for Melissa to take to work with her, and one for myself after I've dropped her at her office. And I went out, so I leave early, go do that, come back and get her and take her over to her work. And I went out to the driveway and I looked down at the car, and the front driver's side tire flat as a pancake. These are brand new tires, well, a year ago, brand new, on Melissa's Nissan Rogue. And I looked at that and I went, now what? We've got a 20-minute walk to work. Not going to be able to, this is going to tie up my day. I have other things that I really want to do and whatnot. And I talked to my next door neighbor, and Dr. John is a wonderful guy and a great neighbor, a retired chiropractic physician, and he and we spent a lot of time together, and I got a hold of him, and he's just got every tool imaginable, and he had an air compressor, and so we pumped air into the tire and we got it up to above what it normally calls for, and I could hear the air leaking out of it, but there was enough air in it that I could take Melissa over to work and then go down to a tire repair shop here and see if they could get it in right away. And they did, and for $29.90 I was able to drive away with an as new the tire was repairable because we didn't let it go flat and drive on it, and I was able to come back and go through the normal day without hardly any glitches. That was just that shape. But the tendency that you have is to look at the flat tire and go, oh my God, a flat tire. How am I ever going to get through this day? This day is starting. Have you ever heard that? Today is a day of Murphy's Law. If there's anything that can go wrong, it will. That negativity starts to grip your brain, and you go, oh, there is nothing that I can do to get out of this mess. It's just a mess, and it's just the way it's going to be a terrible day. And we start to proclaim that, and we start to speak it out loud, and we start to actually embrace that. I'm having a terrible day. I'm going to have a terrible day. Oh, everything that could go wrong is going wrong, that kind of thing. When all of a sudden God sends a good Samaritan, He gives you a good next door neighbor, He gives you somebody else, and He takes care of that. Our daughter Cassie went through the same thing a couple of weeks ago when she was meeting up with some friends from home. She lives in Wichita, Kansas, and she was meeting up with some friends that were traveling through the area, and they were going to have lunch. And on her way there, her car overheated. She's living in Kansas. It's 103 degrees out, or I guess it was 90 some degrees out that day. And she's stuck alongside of the road. And panic, what are we going to do? How's this? We're 17 hours away from her. It's not like we can just jump in the car and go help her, this kind of thing. And then help, just talked through the situation. And it turns out that her friends came and met her so that she wasn't alone alongside the road, and so she wasn't in the sun completely all the time. And then, praise God, a Kansas state trooper stopped by and made sure that she was well taken care of and that her vehicle got to a garage and the repairs were done, and also saw to it that she got home. So it's one of those things where everything just feels like it's all going wrong at the same time. But then God makes a way where there seems to be no way. And those are the things that I want to encourage you about today. I want to say, listen, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're going through, and I'm working with a family today that's going through a loss in their life. That's huge. We all experience losses in our life. And when those days come, those feel like the worst days possible, especially when it's an unexpected thing or something like that. But reality is, no matter what it is, it can waylay us and put us into a different sphere. And if we allow the negative energy to come and affect our energy, if we allow the negative thoughts to permeate our brain, it will have an effect on us throughout our day or week or month or year that it's difficult to get out of that hole when we allow the mind to be conformed to the things that are happening around us in the world. Okay, and I'm trying to be very practical with you here, but if we aren't careful, that's the kind of thing that gets shot at us. We get all of these negativities going on, all of the negative feelings start to come and take over our mind. Again, remember, the battleground is really in our thinking. It's in the mind. What do we choose to focus on? What do we choose to meditate on? King David used to talk about, or he has talked about, putting his mind, where was his mind going to be? And it's very interesting if you read the Psalms that David wrote, some of the things he says. He said, God, I completely depend on you. I am yours. My times are in your hand. Everything is good. Oh yeah, by the way, there are all these enemies around me and they're going to eat me up. They're going to consume me. And I don't know, where are you, God? I don't know where you're at, So don't get bummed out if you have negativity trying to crowd out your positivity. When you're being positive about things, that's a good start. And then it's a matter of resting in it. But don't think you don't have to do anything at that point. While you're taking on positive thoughts, now go do something about your problem if you're able to. If you're not, then get your next door neighbor who has a compressor to help you with this. Well, another thing I want to tell you about him is that my neighbor, Dr. John, he actually drove the route to go to this garage to make sure that I got there okay. He did that on his own. I didn't know he was doing that. I was at the garage and I looked out the door and I see his car go by. And he pulls in and he makes sure that I got the car there safely. Go the extra mile for somebody who's going through a problem in a season of hardship. Go the extra mile for them, because that will come back to you many, many times. You will be blessed. You will be taken care of because you're giving over and over again. So I want to encourage you about this. The fear. How do you overcome fear? Well, it starts in the mind. What are you thinking on? Whatsoever things are good, pure, lovely, those are the things that we're told, I believe in Philippians, that we need to think on. If we think on these things, as opposed to thinking on that flat tire or that bad report from the doctor or the loss in life or the whatever, or the job or whatever the case might be, or the gas prices or whatever the case might be. If we allow those thoughts to come and crowd out the good things, I'm taken care of. I know that I can eat today. I know that my family is well today, whatever the situation is, or I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for my career. I'm grateful for the blessings that I have. I remember the old hymn they used to sing, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. So he brings these things to mind. He brings these things to our heart. And the next thing you know, we're starting to make our way out of that. And when we do, we have a new appreciation for what people are going through, what they're dealing with in their lives. So overcoming fear, we do that by thinking on the good things that are happening in our life. The other thing is we may need to join with someone else who can help us to walk through that journey, help us to walk through that place. I am blessed beyond measure that Melissa is such an awesome partner in life. She is always, she's got this confidence in her, and she doesn't panic when things are going wrong. Instead, she finds ways of overcoming. She does things. She's been working so hard at the remodel that we're doing inside of the house right now. She's doing such an excellent job, and she's doing things that she's painting. I hate painting. I can't stand it. I'll wallpaper any day, but I cannot stand painting. But she just jumps right into that thing, and she's got, this work is going on. I know she'll have a big reveal when it's time for all of her viewers. But I'm telling you, I appreciate her calmness in storms. In fact, I think I know how she came about being calm in storms. She actually embraced storms. She actually loves storms. It's very interesting. When thunder and lightning, she gets disappointed when a storm goes around our area instead of coming through our area. Now, I'm not talking tornadic activity. I'm talking about thunderstorms, some rumbling and some lightning and rain and this kind of thing. She enjoys that feeling that she gets when those storms are coming, and she actually gets excited about it, which is really a wonderful thing. She's a calm, steady person. It doesn't mean she doesn't have problems or issues. It just means that her approach to those problems and issues they're different than what mine have been. Mine have been panic first, then figure things out, and that doesn't really help. Years ago, I worked on a team that put on mock crashes at high schools around prom time, and it was sponsored by the Pennsylvania DUI Association, the Warren County DUI Association. And we went around to the schools and we did these things. And one of the things that happened was the alarms went out, and volunteer fire department personnel responded to the school, to the scene of the accident that we had created, that we had staged. They were in on it. They knew what was going on. But one of the things that we would tell the students to do is we would start counting the minutes before responders got there. And it took time for them to get there. Sometimes it took 15, 20 minutes for the first responders to actually get there, get on scene and see what was going on. The next thing that we noticed was that the first responders, fire department personnel, they're called the medical staff, they didn't come to the scene and start running from their vehicles to the scene. They walked. And I thought, why are they just walking and just seemingly taking their good time? A paramedic should be so quick and whatnot. And so I talked to one of them about it way back then, and they said, we don't rush, because if you run to the scene, you could get hurt yourself. You're not going to assess it properly. You're not going to take a look at what's going on around you and get a clear head about what to do next. Friends, listen, it's the same way in life. If we rush when something comes upon us, and there are times when we have to act more expediently than others, but if we get all flustered and frustrated and try to work it out that way, we will not be able to step back from it, look at it clearly, and see what we can do to make it actually work out okay. So I want to encourage you today. Fears are common to human beings. Don't allow them to take a grip. Positivity, which is the vast majority of our time, at least it seems that way when you think about it, let's think on those things. Whatsoever things are lovely, pure, holy, right, all of those kinds of things, and allow those things to come into our minds and take control and work through us. Meet the needs of others, be positive, and when negativity comes, put up a guard against it. Overcome it. God has made a way. Let's not allow negativity to control our lives. Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Dale on Deck. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. We're going to be continuing on themes like this from the deck here in Allegheny National Forest. And just hope you have a great day. Blessings on you. And I pray that God would give you the means. I pray right now that God will give you the means today to overcome any anxieties or fears or difficulties that you might be going through and see the positiveness in this day. God bless you, and hey, peace.